All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate you making time. We're going to spend an hour and a half today on this. When I've done this in the past, it's been 2 hours most of the time. We're going to spend an hour and a half because we've done 3-year goal statements before. We've done the strategic planning to build a one-page strategic plan. You just did it for your life. We've talked about this a bunch. And then you guys have a lot of experience with goal setting for yourself and for others. So we'll be able to go through it. Sometimes when I've done this before, it's been a couple hundred people in a room. And then I've done it for a lot of small groups as well. We're going to blow through this. And I told you guys where this came from before, but we will cover some of it again. I got to get all the logos in here because this isn't my stuff. This was invented by Vern Harnish, commissioned by me and EO. Vern Harnish at Gazelles made this slideshow. I've adjusted it a little bit and created this system. And we'll talk again about why it was a unique system for EO and why all the entrepreneurs loved it. Why can't I get to the next slide? I'm having a hard time with slide movement here. All right. You already got this. You need to fill out Wheel of Life. You need the pages that back it up. You need a blank copy of the Me tool. And then you guys have your strategic personal plans from last year that we'll be referring to as well. This is what most people's Wheel of Life looks like. So I'm expecting that most people aren't on the outer circle. And can you guys see my cursor moving or no?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm figuring most people aren't on the outer circle. This is what most people's Wheel of Life looks like. But the idea is that you live a purposeful life like we did last year with the 3-year goal and the strategic plan, like we do with our business with the strategic plan, like we do with the people that we work with, figuring out what they're doing and what their goals are. It's purposeful. So if you lead a purposeful life, hopefully you can make a non-janky wheel that's not going to break down and fall off. So one point from Jill and I didn't understand this. We used to do this and compare these Wheel of Lives once a year. I didn't realize that she was living in a world that she didn't feel she was having adventure and fun. I thought we were having adventure and fun. We went to the Great Barrier Reef, we go skiing, we did all this stuff, but she didn't feel that way. So she was down where this X is, and I was kind of in the outer circle. So because we did this together, we could communicate and kind of work on together as a married couple, making our circle full. So a lot of people I know have used this, with their spouses or significant others or families. We're going to do it today just for yourself. You should have all these commitments, which we're going to put in the Me tool. And the reason why I had you do the homework is to just get you thinking. A lot of times the process is the cool part. It's not the end result. The dumb piece of paper we spit out at the end is not the result of this. It's the process. So all the thinking you've done and the work you've done and all the last year work is going to help here. I just want to talk about the sheet real quick. Think of it like a crossword puzzle. So we're not going to go left to right and down. You're going to put stuff in whenever you feel like it. So by now you should have your name on the top. You should have a date and you should have your aspirational goal. So for example, what'd you say for your 10 to 25 years? What point did you pick, Bryce?
Me, 10.
10 years. So you just picked 10 years. So did you put a date, aspiration by 2033?
I can put a date. I just said 10.
Put a date in the right-hand upper corner. You usually redo this every year and every quarter. You're changing it and changing out the 90-day goals. So if I showed you my files, which I have before, I've just got just a row of these. And you just but what happens is after about 5 years, you forget, oh, what was 10 to 25 years? Like I didn't even realize I've been doing this for so long. And, how long has it been? So we put the date on it when we make it, and then we put the aspirational date. So for you, it's 10 years from now, 2033. For Grayson, what's yours? What are you picking?
I picked 10, so 2033.
2033. So you're looking for by January 1st, 2034, for all this stuff to have happened if you're in the 10 to 25 year range. And you might be just sitting here because you're high achievers, and you might be sitting there going, I don't want to pay attention to Matt while he's talking. I'm going to write some things down. That's okay. So these are goals, long way out goals around relationships, around achievements, around, it says rituals now, but rituals are habits that usually lead to achievements and wealth. So this is kind of the odd man out. This is the one that my friend Scott Olivet, who's he just announced he did a merger with Cedar Park and some other giant amusement park. I told you guys before, he's done a lot of stuff around the world and is a pretty wise person. He's critical of this column because it's the weird one. So when you think about the rituals or habits column, you think about the things you're going to do that you want to have as a ritual. It might help with relationships. It might help with achievements, and it might help with wealth. So I have working out on mine. I've got calling family. I've got eating well. All of those are going to get me to a healthy weight, and etc. So you can start marking stuff down whenever you feel like it. If you have any goals already by 10 years in relationships or wealth or whatever, you can put them down. We're going to do the same thing we did last year, and we're going to come up with 1 year goals around these 4 pillars of yourself. And then we do these 90-day goals every 90 days like we did last year. So similar to last year, different format. What we're adding that we didn't have last year is this long-term piece. We still have the 5 F's to get you thinking: family, fitness, friends, finance, and faith. And we have the pillars of, your personal plan. So that's what we're going to be doing. You can work ahead. You can write anywhere you want. When you get done writing it all down, when it comes time to typing, the cool thing is you can't fit too much in this. So you're going to be limited to 3 or 4 things in each of these small boxes and just a few things in these bigger boxes. But it's just brainstorming, so you can write as much stuff down as you want. You can have 100 things and pick later. If you're having a hard time writing stuff down, that happens too. It's okay. I'm going to guide you through all this. So you guys don't know about EO, but there's forum, and forum is a safe place where you share and you take care of your friends. You share your experiences. You don't tell people what to do. There's no advice. There's no judgment. So I have these 2 forums. And so you hear me talk about my forum mates because they become like brothers, and Joe John, the guy that's in charge of medevacing me from Mexico. So this is built on those principles. The whole discussion today is built on those. We're going to share experiences. We're going to be confidential and keep everything here. We don't need to go tell everybody stories. This is a confidential meeting today. And we're going to learn about asking the right questions to pull out these plans. You can't change the way people think. All you can do is give them the tools, the use of which will change their thinking. So this is just a tool that Vern gave me that was really popular in EO. I toured around the world. I did this so many times that I videoed it because I just didn't want to do it anymore. I'm still probably the only one that does this anymore. So I get calls. I don't really do it. I invented the Me 2 and the Me 3 because people wanted a tool. And what happened was I told you about the RFPs for people to bid on building this out at EO, because we invented this thing called Injected for people that have bigger businesses and been there a while and seen all the things. And I think we sent out 86 RFPs and got 52 bids. Everybody talked about people, strategy, execution, and finance. Vern was the only one that talked about me. We talked about that last year. You put your oxygen mask on first. And it reminded me of this first time I joined EO. There's this guy, Pat Redfern, and he put this pie up on the wall. And he said, "This is how I split my life." I got to tell Pat I do this still. He has his personal life, he has his family life, and he has his business life. And I was shocked. I saw that up there. I was 27, 28 years old. I was shocked because my pie was 2 halves. What do you think I was missing?
Family.
Personal.
Blue. I was missing the blue. I weighed 240 pounds, which is, you hear me talk about how fat I am now. I'm only 220. I had just bought my first pair of 40-inch shorts. Who knows what I didn't exercise because I didn't have time. It was come home, play with the kids, help the kids, do the Jill thing. And I was becoming unhealthy, probably would have been dead by now had I not seen Pat put this up. And I went, oh my God, I need time for myself. I need to take care of myself. And so Vern met this guy, Barry Greif. And Barry Greif was a scientist at UNC Chapel Hill and a researcher. And he had discovered this thing, that you've got these concentric circles, but for you to take care of work and to take care of family, you got to take care of self. So what he found was people do their job first, come home and take care of the kids. And then if there's anything left over, take care of their spouse. And then whatever dust is left over is for themselves. And Barry Greif proved that you got to reverse that. You have to take care of yourself first. The kids don't give a shit. They're running around. They just want you in the room. The spouse needs the quality time. And then kids, and then work. The opposite of what everybody's doing. So he did a bunch of studies, and there's a lot of great learning out of UNC. There was the guy on listening. I forget his name. I spent 2 days with him just on listening. And it was a leadership academy for 3 days. 2 of it was listening. So there's some good stuff coming from there. So we're going to talk about the living legacy in a second. He calls them modules. We'll call them pillars of the plan. We talked about that already. And we've talked about this. Don't try to fill in every box. Don't get overwhelmed. You can take all your stuff off your other sheet and plug it in whenever you feel like it. There are times when people are unable to do this. And I was at that time once. I could not do this. And it was because I had been dealing with some serious shit. And there was someone that had passed away in our company. And there was some other horrible thing that was happening. And I just was in a funk and couldn't deal with this. And if that happens, you just wait. I waited 7 months, tried it again later. So sometimes it's impossible to set long-term goals. It's a good indicator. You don't know that something's wrong and you can't set goals. It's a good indicator that things are wrong. And everybody has Dr. Dorothy's number if they ever need her, right? All right, not many people are using her right now. Okay, we already did this. We talked about this. Here's just an example of mine from 2011. I would say now, I mean, my whole body's broken. So maybe that health would be in the same place, but careers all the way out here, financials all the way out here, relationships are all the way out here, significant others all the way out here. Spirituality is probably 1 bar down. Adventure fun. Oh, I wrote down that Jill was spoiled right there. That was bad spousal discussion. When you write you're spoiled because your perception is different than mine. That was Matt's 2011 thinking. I since have learned not to put my perceptions on other people. But like I still have all these and Jill still has all these. And it's cool to look that we made some progress. And you can see, look at that. You can see how bad our marriage was right there because she actually wrote down change perspective. So that was me being a bully. And since 2011, we figured out I was a bully. Wow. So Jill and I used to do it. Like I said, I want you to save this stuff. I don't think Vern's going to have anything to say. Let me see. Can you hear? Did you guys hear?
Not really.
It's really quiet.
No.
I didn't share the sound. Let's try that again.
Great inventor has said, you
Yeah.
cannot change the way people think. All you can do is give them tools, the use of which will change their thinking. We've provided you 4 one-page tools built around people, strategy, execution, and cash. Dr. Barry Greif, the psychiatrist at Harvard Business School and the long-standing faculty member of MIT EO's Executive Leadership Program, has often pointed out the trade-offs that entrepreneurs must make between our business, family, and self, and that we particularly will focus on business at the expense of the family and self to the point where the self can actually build an animosity towards the company. That's exactly why we designed this tool.
All right. He's got a lot to say. He wrote a book called Gazelles. He's pretty well respected. So if you want to research Vern's thoughts more, it's the second book I think that people like even more than Gazelles. The Rockefeller Habits is what it was called, Rockefeller Habits. All right. So what is the 1 to 2 word or phrase to capture the essence of your living legacy? Use the top right corner of the page. Example, selfless regard, just do it, empowered, evolve. So you can change this, but you think about your legacy. And what Vern was saying was everybody thinks about their tombstone and their, after they die. People don't think about it while they're living, right? While they're living. So I sat here and you see mine right there, selfless regard. Think about who I am and what you guys know about me and what my reputation is and what I do and what my friends do for me. I've been living that since I wrote it down and decided that was my thing. I want to be about selflessness. I want to live fully and help others do the same. I did it before my kids were born. It kind of guided everything. I don't know that you're going to come up with your living legacy, but it goes in the top right-hand corner. And you can think about the wake you leave in the world. You can think about what people like about you. You can think about what you like about yourself. You can think about the impact that you make sometimes and what's unique about it. But I want to just give you a couple minutes to maybe jot something down, but it's got to be 3 words or less. 3 words or less. So take a couple seconds, and if someone wants to share, they can share.
What was your living legacy?
Selfless regard. Anybody got anything? Yeah, I'm gonna give you 60 seconds. And then we'll move on. If you don't get it, you don't have to. But it's a 1 to 2 word phrase, or 1 to 3 word phrase that captures the essence of how you live and what happens while you're moving through life to the world around you. Okay, anybody got anything?
I've got one.
What is it?
Present and whole.
Present and whole. Okay. And I'm not going to ask you what it means because sometimes it's private, but I kind of get the gig on that. And sometimes it's like a special word that means a lot to you, which would be good to go in there because this is for you, not for other people. Okay, so we're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about the relationships you need for your life. You can start looking at the relationships page. I like the word nurture on this slide. I think we're all going to listen. I've shortened all these videos. So this is Keith Ferrazzi. Both those books are New York Times bestsellers, pretty famous, launched his career as a consultant. No one has ever read those books because I'm profiled in Never Eat Alone. And there's not been a single person that's ever said that they saw me in there. There's been a lot of people that said that they read it, which I think is funny. They don't make it to page 78, but we'll hear what he has to say.
Hi, welcome members of EO. My name is Keith Ferrazzi. I'm the author of Who's Got Your Back? Proud to say the #1 New York Times best-selling book, Who's Got Your Back? But I'm also an entrepreneur, just like you. I run a business in the management consulting and training business in New York and Los Angeles. And I say that because I have a lot of empathy for what many of you may be feeling at this point in time in your lives. There was about 5 years ago that I was running a business that to the outside world looked pretty successful. I had my first best-selling book called Never Eat. And yet at the same time, I felt like I was drowning in the deep end of a swimming pool, going down for how I was feeling, and nobody really knew what I was, lifeline relationships that I can really turn to. One of the things that I'm really proud of in terms of the work that I do is when I work with organizations like EO and solidifying your relationships, letting your guard down, embracing each other and letting each other know what's really going on. Yes, to the point of vulnerability. Letting each other know what you really feel, that kind of intense candor with each other. And giving each other a little bit of butt kicking, right?
Okay, we're not going to listen to him because my fast forwarding and editing has been deleted. So that was supposed to be about 45 seconds, but I'll tell you what he says. He says that if you have unconditional supporters in your life, you're blessed. And you should think about who those unconditional supporters are. And, you probably have your parents, but maybe you don't. You might have a friend that's an unconditional supporter, but he says if you have one, you're lucky. And you can foster relationships and generate more of these unconditional supporters. Something goes down, they're there. You can be yourself. You can let your guard down. He says, then you probably have about 20 AAAs. And those are like your best friends. And if you think about it, who are my best friends? Yeah. Mike Cato had me list them off the other day. So he said I had 30 seconds. And I came up with like 30. He said, nobody can do that. That's crazy. So you can, but I can because I think about it a lot. And I think about investing time with friends, not spending time with friends. And I think about, how we're impacting each other. So if you think about your friend group, you might have some of those unconditional supporters. You might have some really good friends that maybe you're not in contact with. You might have some friends that maybe you don't need to be in contact with anymore because they're not giving you what you need. But you probably have 20 really good ones. And then below that, he says, you've got the AA's, 50 of those. Well, maybe it's 20 AA's, 50 A's, and then 100 kind of B's, and maybe 50 C's. So it adds up to 220. So if you think about it, you probably could list all your friends, and he suggests that you do, and I actually did it once. Never let anybody see the list. And I noticed as I did it, I had some people that I wasn't investing the time in that were really great friends of mine. Maybe they're really old friends, maybe they're friends with great values. And I realized that there were some people that were just sucking me dry, and I was spending time with them because they were in my Y Guides or Indian Princesses group. Or, a lot of times you have your friends, your kids' friends' parents, and there's all these people, and I realized, wait a second, what am I doing with the top 20? What am I doing with my family? What am I doing with my unconditional supporters? So that's the point of the Keith Ferrazzi videos. You think about the investment, think about how you're tracking it, who you're spending time with. Is it random or is it purposeful? So when you do the sheet right now, you think about your key relationships, which I just discussed. You think about faith, family, friends, fitness, which is on the sheet. Oh, there's Jill. And then you just begin filling it out as the ideas flow. So think about family relationships, significant others, spirituality section, long-term goals, one-year goals. Who's guiding you on your spiritual journey? If your life was to go up, who can you call? Who are your health and fitness and spiritual gurus? Financial mentors? Life coaches? What are you doing to maintain those relationships? Which do you lack? What legacy do you want to leave? And just start writing down some goals. While you're doing that, I'm going to leave. I get this on here, and let me see if I can bring mine up and read some of my stuff while you guys are working. Okay, so you guys keep writing. And maybe on the top, you guys are going 10 years out. Is there a significant other relationship? Is there something you want to develop in the unconditional supporters? Do you have some spiritual, physical, friendly mentors that you need to rope in? So you can think of that in the long term, and you can think of that in the short term, because you might need to do some actions, stop doing something like screwing off on your weekends or going to lunch by yourself. So the stop doing in the next 90 days, start doing in the next 90 days, so you can achieve the 1 year activity. So for example, for me, I had proud of relations with my family was a goal by 60. And my action for the year, I need to book a trip with each kid. I need to revamp my routine with Jill. I need to start doing a monthly activity with Kennedy, and I need to start planning a Christmas vacation because we never go on them. I need to stop letting the weekends go by and stop not planning stuff to do with the kids because I'm lazy. And then finally, remember not to snap and freak out, because that ruins everything I do. So there's some ideas. You think about friends, family, finance, fitness, faith. And if something comes up with achievements or rituals or wealth, you can put it in. Anybody have any questions on all that? Okay, so I'm going to give you till 40. I'll give you like 5 minutes to be writing. Why is Emmy texting me? You guys write, I'm going to run to the restroom. What time do we start this? Are we only a half hour in, or are we an hour
30 minutes.
in? Okay, perfect. All right, now you've had a little bit of time to write. You don't have to finish it. You guys are going to take it home and you're going to think about it, and stuff will come later. We're just getting started. But did anybody have any, 10-year out goals that they put down that has a 1-year goal tied to it, and maybe a start and stop tied to it that they want to share with the group?
Yeah, I can share one. I think like I got two younger brothers, so I think like while in college, it's kind of difficult to connect with them sometimes because I'm not at home anymore. So like, probably start uh texting and calling them once a week. I don't think I really ever text them or call them honestly, so probably call them once a week and stop um like not reaching out to people that I like really that I have relationships with, and then like a 1 year thing would be to focus on like connecting with my brothers and really like know what's going on in their life, and then 10, 25 years down the road have great relationships with my brothers.
Okay, so if we were doing this in a big seminar setting, or how I've done it before, is I pair you guys up in buddies. And I would give you 10 minutes to share with your buddy, and you guys would dial it in. Instead of doing that, we have our one-on-one meetings, and I'm going to be your buddies, and we're going to dial it in together. So an example of something I might dial in there is, how do you make that a little smarter? So you have the one call a week. How are you going to remember that? Can you do a routine stack? And you guys know, I call my parents once every 2 weeks, like every other male child. I'm sitting there thinking, what a horrible person. My family sacrificed their whole life for me, and I can't even call them more than once every 2 weeks. And then my dad got Alzheimer's. And now I call every time I go mountain biking, 4 times a week. And I just never forget. Like, I'm going mountain biking today. I just know it's going to happen. You might think of some routine stacking, and you might think, what does it mean to have a really solid relationship? You don't have to define that stuff, and it doesn't always have to be smart. It doesn't have to be a goal. It can be a commitment. It can be a goal. It can be smart or not. But that was a really good flow up and good thing to think about. Anybody else want to share one? And by the way, we can step it up to more than once a week, calling our little brothers and our moms and dads. I mean, shit, we have 168 hours in a week, and we can't spend an hour of it calling our parents and our siblings. We should. My little brother-in-law, who's Jill's little brother, calls his dad every day on the way home from work, and he's like 36 now, has his whole life. So that's routine stacking again. Who else has one they want to share? Nobody? You don't have to. Anybody?
One of my goals is to like 10 to 25 years from now is to have multiple properties and be very wealthy. So what I could start doing now is definitely
we're just dealing with relationship now. So you save that one for when we get to the wealth one. Anybody have a relationship one they want to share? Just the far left.
Yeah, I can share my relationships one.
Okay.
So a lot of my friends are going to be moving out next year, like to different states and whatnot too. So staying in contact with them. I right now get spoiled. I can see them on the weekends, but trying to, actually set up times to where I can still stay in contact with them would be really important. Or maybe like making that routine of making phone calls to them more often would be a good start.
Yeah, so I have Friday friend calls. So I get to do these workshops all the time, so I steal people's best ideas. I have Friday friend calls. And I have the names down that I'm going to call on Friday, some of them, because, someone's mom's sick, someone's kid's sick, someone's struggling with something, they're on the Friday friend call list, or it's just people I need to check in because they're on my top 20. So that's a good thing. So you guys can still think about that. We're going to move on. You can still think of it as a crossword puzzle. You can still go back to the relationship stuff, but we're going to move on to, what's his name? John Assaraf. Why can't I get this to go? There we go. We're going to move to achievements. What do you want to achieve in the next 10 to 25 years? You guys are picking 10. It's kind of not a bad idea because that's like 50% of your life. 25, it's kind of too hard to tell. In strategic planning, I told you usually do 3 to 5 years, and it's more and more 3 years because the world changes so fast. But you can think about your achievements. Let's see what John asked. Is this the full video too? I don't know that this is the full video. I like this. I don't know if this is the part where he talks about his house and his vision board, but I don't know if you guys have heard of The Secret, the book, or the movie, but this is the guy that wrote it. So we'll see what he has to say.
Hi, and welcome EO Injected members. My name is John Assaraf, and you may remember me from the hit movie and book, The Secret, or one of my New York Times best-selling books, including my latest, The Answer: Grow Any Business, Achieve Financial Freedom, and Live an Extraordinary Life. Now, I'd like to share with you some ideas around your personal achievements, ideas around goal setting and visualizing your way to having, being, and doing absolutely everything you choose and want in your life. Now, number one, I want to ask you to ask yourself a question. What do you really want to achieve in your personal life? What kind of physique, health, vitality, and energy do you really want to have? What kind of relationship do you want to have with your significant other, your family, your friends, maybe your children? What kind of charitable constitutions or institutions do you want to participate in? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of values do you want to live right now? Because you see, the more clear you are about exactly what it is you want to achieve in your personal life, the faster your brain starts to find in the physical world things to match up with that perfect image of those personal goals that you have and the personal achievements that you are capable of achieving, just like you've achieved the success in your business.
Okay. So key ideas from his book, The Power of Creating a Vision. He talks about vision boards. You guys know what vision boards are? Yeah. Does anybody not know what a vision board is? Okay. So and the Olympians used to use vision boarding a lot and vision exercises a lot. And Scott Olivet talked a lot about vision exercises. But these vision boards, you know, you make them, you stare at them, you think about it. And he talks about how he had a vision board and he kept them all. And he was living in Colorado and he moved from Colorado to Seattle, Seattle to NorCal, NorCal to San Diego. And he had a kid along the way. It had been 20 years and his kid's opening up these boxes. And he's like, hey, Dad, what's this? And holds up the vision board. And in the center of the vision board was that house he was just standing in the video. 20 years prior, he had it on the vision board. And it was the exact same house. It had been for sale and he'd cut it out of a magazine and put it on his vision board. 20 years later, he didn't even remember he bought the exact same house. Weird, because when I was a kid, I had a house that looks exactly like my house. And it was this, you know, mansion on a hill with a 6-car garage with all these cars in it. And it basically looked like California. And I had a big poster of that. And then one day I walked down and said, oh my God, I live in that house. And I would sit and stare at that poster all the time. And what if I was successful? And what if I had those cars? And what if? And I didn't even try to do vision boarding. And you don't have to only do it for monetary. You can do it for, I mean, the Olympians do it for athletic prowess and athletic success. But he talks a little bit about vision boarding in there. He talks about your cohesive vision, which is what we're doing today. Getting clear and precise, which we just talked about with Mason. And then I think this is important. Don't worry about the how. So it's this, the rituals is a little bit of the how, but he talks about physical fitness. On mine, I've got no more than a certain weight, no more than a certain body fat, which is a lot less than I am right now. So what I'm going to have you do is start writing, and I'll give you some examples. Do you feel stronger and energized when you work on your list of future achievements? I don't know what that means. Oh, this is just a plug for Marcus Buckingham. So this is a good book that's really old. So just begin filling it out. Again, you're brainstorming. What are your achievements around health? The 5 F's: family, fitness, finance, faith, and whatever the 5th one is. Just start thinking about what achievements you want. Look at the 5 F's. Think about long-term on the top, 1-year goals. And let me give you some hints. Maybe you think about your BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. You want to be, I've heard some of you talk about the CEO of a big company, or you want to start something that's important. So maybe this is a place to put your big, hairy, audacious goal. Marcus Buckingham talks about strengths. So are you playing to your strengths? And then this says finish it in the next 24 hours. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so let me stop sharing and I'll read some stuff off mine while you guys are going. I had a hard time with the kids. I have kids found genius and people push back on me that you don't control your kids. I left it on there, even though I don't control my kids. I had successful kids and I had different weird versions of it, but them finding their own genius is where I ended up. I want an active foundation. Instead of donating money to charity, I want a foundation that my kids run. These are my by 60. I have big exit numbers, 50 countries by 50, 60 by 60. I'm at 73 now. I had down here an enriching paid side gig, but I don't like to be paid. So I have an enriching non-paid side gig, which is strange. I need to change that. My 1 year leading to that, I'm finalizing finance leadership at NSG. We don't have a CFO. helping Kennedy with their major and her disc test because she's a chem major and I'm worried. And then professionalize a bunch of my documents and make it available to CollegeWorks. We're building out a site on the website that's going to include this video, believe it or not. And then I needed to start in the next 90 days a real estate plan rhythm. I needed to get Kennedy and her friends in on disc, and I needed to update my travel log. So I've done some of that since this. There's some examples. You can think about finance achievements, fitness achievements. Maybe there's some friendship achievements. Maybe there's faith achievements and family achievements. And you might think about things you need to do to get there, and that would go in the ritual column if you're playing the crossword game. Okay, again, why don't you guys shrink? Okay. Am I sharing my screen right now?
No.
Okay, I'm going to pause. We're going to give you 5 minutes to fill out that column. So you can think about spiritual, you can think about non-monetary, which is usually pretty helpful because people sometimes get the monetary down. And what happens is, as you clarify this stuff for yourself, and I also recommend vision, mission, values for yourself, it becomes a decision filter. Values are a decision filter. Should I do that? Does it align with my values? Should I do that? Does it align with my vision? So Jill and I oftentimes are faced with these decisions. Usually they're involved giving away a lot of money, and the decisions are pretty easy. Most recently, we decided to pay for my cousin's daughter's school, and it was Jill's decision. We're in England, and she goes to a school that's really rough and has been going downhill, and her brother goes to this expensive private school that they can't afford. And I don't even think he pays the tuition. I think his mom may pay half the tuition. And we're sitting there, and Jill said, we need to invest in family. Let's pay for Megan's school, which is like a $250,000 commitment because it's 25 grand a year or whatever it is. And that was because we know our values: selfless regard, live fully and help others do the same as our vision. We have these family values of respect. We know that what Daniel went through compared to what I went through. We know that my grandparents paid for my school, so why not pay it forward? So you can think about all that stuff as you look at some of these achievements beyond just making a bunch of money. How many more minutes do you need? Ready to start sharing? Mason, you look like you need a couple more minutes, do you?
Yeah, I'm kind of struggling with this one a little bit.
While Mason's right, is anybody feeling like they got a few down and wants to share one of them? Everybody needs a little more time?
I'm struggling.
Okay, we'll take 5 more minutes.
Struggling.
How are we doing?
Struggling.
Any questions?
What's like stuff that you say like stop doing for like achievements? Like,
well, yeah, I watch TV every night before I go to bed. My wife reads and she stretches. So how about I stop laying in bed and watching TV until after I've stretched and read? There's one. I want to I want to write a book. How about, I used to, I already wrote it. It sucks. It's over here. I would spend time writing the book before I went to bed, and I needed to stop that. Stop eating after 8 because I want to be healthy. Stop drinking every day if you're in college. I went out with the person yesterday. I said, do you want something to drink? She's drinking hot water. She goes, it's Thursday. I'm like, so? She goes, it's Thursday at lunch. I'm like, yeah. And she said, I only drink Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. I said, okay, that's a good mental decision to make for health. So I don't know that she ever did it, but you could stop that. So there's probably some things that you're doing that are hindering. Again, I watch TV. I like to watch TV. I need to watch TV, and I watch bad TV. I watch historical documentaries, which are wonderful, or Naked and Afraid, which is totally a waste. But if I ever got dropped, if a plane ever crashed, I'm going to be able to get some stuff done. I watch a lot of episodes. There was somebody talking about travel.
Me and Mason had a conversation. We struggle with the long-term side.
What's your question with that?
Would you say, Mason, 10 countries in 10 years?
Yeah, I just like got inspired by your country's like ability to travel to 70 countries. So I was like, I just put like 7. I feel like
How many have you been to?
I think 3, like Canada, US and Mexico.
Okay, so you want
All
to be
of
in
College
10
Works.
countries by the time you're 32 or 31.
Yeah, 31.
So what you might start doing is start planning a trip to another country. Start deciding where you want to go. You might, if you know you have a goal to like I was in a global organization. I like to travel. They asked me to be on the global board, so that was cool. And then our group, we have a lot of friends that like to travel. So start hanging out with people that like to travel. Start talking to my friends about traveling. Working and traveling is not what people think it is. So the EO gig was cool because it's, you know, helicopters and all the great, smartest people, and we're doing activities and stuff. Working is usually get there late, you know. So maybe if you were working in a travel situation, you would have a goal to stay an extra day on every trip. Anybody want to share any achievements in the 90-day and 1 year process to get there? Bryce is choosing not to. That's okay. Does anybody want to? No? Tanner, Jason, Tyler, nobody? Well, Tyler already shared. Grayson, you got anything you want to share?
For like achievements by like a year?
Yeah, just what do you have down your column? Something.
For me, like I want to make sure by like next year I no longer have like neck pain. Like I deal with a lot of pain in my neck and shoulder. I've had it for like 4 or 5 years now. I've gone to like physical therapy, chiropractors, orthopedic doctors. None of them can fix it. It's something I have to deal with every day. So I'm starting to actually work to, you know, figure it out and, you know, relieve that pain would kind of be a big deal for me.
Wow. So you might start calling the Mayo Clinic and setting up an appointment. You might start talking to different people that have done that before, but that's kind of a cool achievement, right? Totally out of the blue that I never thought of. So hopefully that share can help some other people, because that was a cool one that gets your brain thinking. So we're going to move on to rituals. And this is the odd column. It's the things you do to do the other things. I'm just sharing this video because, and this guy, Tony Schwartz, my friend Joe John hired him to speak at his business. We had him at EO, but you might recognize him from US politics. And I have him on here for one reason. If you recognize it, you'll know.
The first tool we use is awareness. We're out to build your awareness because you can't change what you don't see. And the reality is we don't know enough about what the consequences are of the behaviors we choose or the behaviors we default in to recognize whether the benefits of those behaviors outweigh the costs, and often they don't. So the first thing we do is to try to raise your awareness and put you in a position to make a choice about any behavior that you do in your life. You do it in a certain way repeatedly and it becomes automatic. You know what a ritual is. You do it in a that becomes automatic in a very short time. You know what I'm talking about. A ritual is a highly specific behavior that becomes automatic over time. In other words, you take a behavior, you do it at a certain time, you do it in a certain way repeatedly, and it becomes automatic. You know what a ritual is. You all have, I hope you all have, the ritual of brushing your teeth.
Oh,
you don't have to think about whether to brush your teeth. You get to a certain point in the night, and almost no matter what else happens, boom, you're going to brush your teeth. We're trying to help you build really important and productive behaviors, particularly the ones that are difficult and challenging, into your life by making them automatic, because what we know is that will and discipline as a way to get things done are wildly overrated. So what we need to do is get that behavior in your life to become automatic and unconscious so you don't have to think about it to make it happen. What are these 4 sources of energy that you really need? Well, the first one, not surprisingly, is your physical energy. That's the core source of your energy. Your physical energy is necessary to bring any of the other sources of your energy to life. Without physical energy, I don't care if you live in or work in a sedentary job, you still need fitness, nutrition, sleep, and daytime rest and renewal. Those are the 4. fitness, sleep, daytime rest, and nutrition. If you got those 4 nailed, you got the physical piece nailed. How many of you got those nailed? I'm going to guess very few those, and we would address them through rituals. The second one is emotional. Emotional is the quality of your energy. It's how you feel. Because we know that how you feel perform at your best. It's associated with positive emotions.
We're going to run out of time. This book's a great book about energy management. And I like that part. And you've heard me talk about the brushing your teeth or how you do your shower. So he said, discipline and will is overrated for getting things done. So we talk about routines a lot in our business. We talk about routine stacking. We talk about making things brainless. We talk about workout every day is a little bit easier to do than workout Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because you don't know what day it is when you wake up. So you think about the different areas of energy in your life. So there's physical energy, mental energy, spiritual energy, and I forget the fourth one. You think about these big time goals, and can they be simplified with some rituals? Probably have the ritual of your day planning the week before, the night before, not missing things. Nobody that we work with misses things, but all your friends do because they don't check their calendar. So you can think about that stuff. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is an act, not an act, it's a habit. Aristotle's also the one that said you are the sum of your 5 closest friends. We could have talked about that in the relationship section. So just let it flow. Rituals create success in the other column, so you might be moving back and forth. Don't forget there's 3 sections. I'm going to give you some hints in a second. What rituals do you need to cultivate? What habits do you need to stop? So we can probably start there. I don't see anybody jumping to it when I said stop. And then we'll do a little share. Let me look at mine while you guys think. And there could be rituals with family. Could be visits, could be holidays, could be family trips, could be kid one-on-one trips. It could be sending your wife away on vacations without you like I used to do. There could be rituals around holidays. There could be rituals around your physical fitness, around your mental fitness. There could be morning activities and a morning ritual, which a lot of successful people do. They wake up, they do some sort of meditation or something. They might do their exercise in the morning. They might do some positive affirmations. They might then, at work, I always show up to work a half hour early as a ritual, get all my email done, get ready. So you might think about those sort of rituals, a decompression ritual in the evening. And I'll bring up mine. It's going to be crazy. Okay, so I put a goal in here. I want to be in the best shape ever, 33-inch waist, 195 pounds, 12% body fat. I'm going to change that to 34, 205, and 14%, because anytime I get that low, I just bounce right back. That's a little goal I put in there, but I have rituals to get there, so that's why I put it there. I want to have the ritual of meditation. I want to be heart and mind healthy. So that's keeping moving with my exercise. I put down Stuart DeMonico version 2. I don't know why I put this in the rituals, but that's a relationship my parents and my in-laws have. And we have basically one family. I want that again. So I don't know why I put that in the rituals. That's probably the wrong thing. Yearly review of the Me tool with the kids and Jill. And then I have a ritual in here of 1/4 of my year abroad. I've changed that too, because I don't want to go abroad as much anymore, but that used to be a ritual. So to your previous question, I was looking for reasons to go and looking to plan trips and making it happen. Coincidentally, I just talked about it. What I needed to do within a year was have a new AM ritual, a new PM ritual, go back to 5 times a week of exercising and add stretching and reading. And there's a big flag next to the stretching and reading, because you don't always do what you want to do. And sometimes you don't do it and you take it off the list. Sometimes you don't do it and you re-emphasize it. And then I have starts around reading and stretching and calorie counting. And then I have stops around the same thing I always have: late night eating, drinking too much, sugar, carbs, being fat. So this one gets a little sloppy, but it's for you. It's not for anybody else. So we'll give you about 5 minutes again. We'll go get some more water.
I've got for rituals, I want to work out basically 5 times a week. And then I also want to just get in the habit of drinking water or a gallon of water every day. So those are kind of two things that I really want to do just for health wise, because that's one of the lowest things I had on the wheel.
Yeah, and you don't have to talk about how, but it's pretty easy. 32, 4 of those. Or carry a gallon jug. I used to do that. All right. Anybody else want to share a ritual that they're adding? Tanner?
Mine was very similar to Jason's, but a habit or a ritual I did add was reading one book every quarter. Read one book every quarter. I put that into my thing last year, but I put like one book a month, and after like 2 months, it destroyed me. So I think
you got to, and maybe later on in life, you'll read a book a week, but you're just adjusting. So you put it all down and you adjust it and dial it in. And we're not getting lazy. We're prioritizing. So sometimes things you take off, like learning Spanish. I tried learning Spanish 4 times. It's not on my goals anymore. I give up. Okay. It doesn't make me a loser. I spend the time somewhere else, and I came up with a different goal. All right, we're going to move into the last one. I don't think we're going to. I have this little X in front of me, and I can't. It won't get out of the way. There we go. Okay. So, what's your relationship with money? What? And I added this. What do you measure instead? So, a lot of people don't like this money talk, so you can come up with something else. You guys know the Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's about wealth, not income. Getting your money work for you. Coincidentally, the rich dad was the guy with a painting company. The poor dad wasted all his money. So I'm a guy with a painting company that did waste all his money. So I've done it both ways. But what they talk about is what's your number. Let's say your number is 100 grand a year. Then if you had $2 million saved up, you could live off of that 100 grand a year. What are you doing with your money to have your money work for you and get out of the rat race? Some people call it the freedom line. But where's your freedom line? It changes, by the way. And, sometimes when you stop working, it gets more expensive than when you were working because you have so much time. But you might think about your number, your freedom line from Rich Dad Poor Dad. Lynn Twist, let me see if I have anything from her. She talks about how money is like water. For some, it flows like a river. For some, it's a trickle. And it's not about how it flows. It just is what it is. It's how you react to it and how you use it or work with it. So some people have a real hard time with it. They have a lot of money and it ruins their lives. So you can think about that. And then, I like to think about spiritual wealth. I like to think about wealth of knowledge. So you can think of that, fill it out as your ideas flow, long-term on the top, short-term on the bottom. Make sure that I have the wrong dates in here, 2014. Make sure that that you've got some measurement to it. Have you experienced flowing or blockage of money in your life? Are there things that you need to do to prevent that? Now, is there anything you need to start and stop doing? You're blowing all your cash. You need to start saving some of it. You're not budgeting. You're not checking in. So you can think about that. Let's see if I have another one. Oops. And then on mine, I'm going to stop sharing again. On mine, just to give you some hints. I had down, I wanted my house paid off by the time I was 60. I have down a number that I want invested in the company, just to be a good partner. I had down some goals around commercial and residential real estate investing. I have my freak out emergency fund, freak out situation that I have. I have goals around how much just straight up cash I have because I'm always worried about that. I have retirement money at 58. Not necessarily retiring, but being able to if I want to. And those are long term. To get there, how do I save money? How do I make sure I review my budget quarterly? And to Tanner's point, we tried it monthly, we tried it weekly, we tried it daily. We just don't do it. So we try to do it quarterly. I invest in the summer instead of wasting money in the summer. So I had a goal to invest this last summer. Think about where my house is. I don't know what that is. And then I have a start, which this is interesting, start my 23-24 travel, charity, and construction planning. So that ties to my family, but Jill and I waste money on food. Well, waste is a bad word, but we go out of control on food, travel, and charity. And then I have in my stop charity, restaurants, and getting cash out of the bank. So that's funny at the beginning of summer, because sometimes spin out of control, it drives Jill crazy. So those are some little hints. You can think about friends, family, finance, fitness, faith. You can look at your one-page plan from last year. You can look at your wheel of life, then start writing. Are you stuck, Bryce? No, you just haven't started. And then you can use this time to go fill in if there's any areas of the me tool that you haven't really been looking at. You can look back at it right now, and we'll just pause the recording and let everybody work for about 5 minutes. All right, so you should have a few things written down. Again, you'll have time after this. I recommend that you sit. We're going to do it now. So typically now I would have you set up an appointment with your buddy and then go over this within 24 hours. Instead, what we're going to do is I want you to open your calendar and pick 30 minutes between now and Monday at 5 p.m. your time to review this while it's still in your mind. 24 hours is better, but it's Friday. So by Monday to kind of come back and revisit this one more time. So we do stuff together. We do it out loud. We share, we write, we see. So we're doing all the different learning senses. Do you learn visually, auditory, or kinesthetically? But what always works is reviewing your work within 24 hours, cements it in your brain. And as you remember last year, we said that just making the one-page plan, you're likely to accomplish everything, let alone tracking it every week. So make your appointment for yourself right now, and then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, babe?
I gotta go get the cat pills before 3.
All right, everybody done with that? I still have to wait for this little screen to get out of my way. There we go. All right, so 24-hour deadline for draft 1. We talked about that, amended it. I'm going to be your buddy. So we already have our monthly meetings calendared out all the way till May. That's what we're doing with you senior guys. The other people, we're doing the one-page plan and the 3-year goal. We're going to do this. It's going to go pretty quickly, so we'll have extra time to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I have an agenda. Think about this as you're doing your revisions. Does the owner of me control the outcome? So if you're setting goals for other people, it doesn't work that way. I want my wife to learn to listen. I want my girlfriend to be nice. Okay, that's her deal, not your deal, or his deal, not your deal. So who controls the outcome? Is it strategic on the top, tactical, and smart on the bottom? If you're overwhelmed, pick one thing. And when you start to type it up, you're only going to be able to put a few things in there. So a lot of times it's more effective if you have 1 or 2 or 3 things in each box, because it's not like you can't redo another one in a year or in 2 years. So every month you're going to be revising it. And when you meet with a buddy, they're challenging you. Do you control that? Why did you do that? And there's a little accountability piece to it, to the 90-day goals. So that's what I have for you. That's the Me tool. You guys have your homework. We have our meeting set. We have a recording for Dylan and for anybody else that wants to watch it. Thank you guys for coming. All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Wait.
Thanks, Matt.